England are heading into another World Cup tournament with a heavy weight of expectation on their shoulders, but, and hear me out with this one, I think they could actually do it this time. Hey, a little bit of positivity never hurt anyone, did it? From who to pick at left wing, the perfect choice for the number 10 role, and the real keys to victory at the World Cup. I'm Jacob Horsfall, 442's resident tactician, and this is why England can win the World Cup. The left wing position is a battle of two Barcelona stars, both the old and the new.
Rashford's going to shoot. Oh, what a goal that is!
Both 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 and Marcus Rashford look set to compete for Thomas Tuchel's left wing slot. But how do they actually fit into that role? Well, the England left winger has a specific role. They've got to be a runner, they've got to stretch the pitch, and they've got to, most importantly, get in behind. Because at right wing we've got 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏, who's more controlled and more ball to feet. Now, naturally, someone like 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 he'll get in behind the opposition's defence, and then he'll shoot early and shoot very, very often. No Newcastle player generated more XG than Anthony Gordon in the league last season. Now, many may look at that and think, well, why wasn't Anthony Gordon Newcastle's top goal scorer in the Premier League? And that's a very, very fair question. But if we look at his shot map, 8 of his 29 regular play shots came from fast break situations. Those situations are high in XG because Gordon will be taking his shot from either inside the box or just outside. But when you look at the whole context, he's running at 100 miles an hour, he's got a defender often on his shoulder or even in front of him, and still got that goalkeeper to beat. So really, the situations aren't always the easiest to actually finish from. However, in the England team, that ability to be a relentless runner, consistently get high value chances through that running, well, that's invaluable in tournament football. But when we look at the team and we look at that left wing position, we don't just need a runner to have some success at this World Cup. England's starting left back will likely be Nico O'Reilly, and he has a huge impact on how the left wing role actually works for England. O'Reilly will not just get forward, but he will also want to make aggressive inverted runs into the box, which means this winger needs to be multifaceted. Not only do we need the movement in beyond, that goal scoring capability to move in transition, we also need someone who can be a touchline winger at times, someone who can stretch the pitch massively and be able to go on the outside. Stable possession will limit England's wingers space to get in beyond the opposition's defence, so they'll need to thrive in tight conditions, which is why for me, Marcus Rashford is the best option. Rashford can be terrifying when he gets a defender 1v1, both on the inside in the sort of half space areas and on the outside when he's looking to cross the ball from the byline, which England will need against those low block sides. Rashford has attempted 4.38 dribbles per 90 in La Liga, with just 3 other players averaging more successful dribbles than him. For me, in the current setup that England have, Marcus Rashford is the best fit to go at left wing. Now, if Lewis Hall had gone to the World Cup, then I think Anthony Gordon could have had more of a say to get into this squad. For me, Lewis Hall is better than Nico O'Reilly on the outside. I would rather Lewis Hall be the width holder than a Nico O'Reilly, which would allow Gordon to basically be that second striker, be someone who basically, again, is a number 9. But the reality is we've got Nico O'Reilly, and that's not a bad thing by any means. But because of his role as basically a second striker at large parts of the season at Man City, you expect Rashford to be the better fit because he's better on the outside, he's better by the touchline, and that is a beautiful dynamic to have for this World Cup. Now, there will be certain scenarios where Gordon plays. I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if he starts the first game against Croatia in a game where England really need to set the tone, be really, really aggressive out of possession. If you look at the England squad, you're expecting Gordon to be someone who potentially goes forward to create almost a 4-4-2 with Harry Kane up front. But over the course of the whole tournament, as sort of an average player selection, I think you take the benefit in possession over out of possession as England, and therefore Rashford and Nico O'Reilly just makes too much sense, doesn't it?
A moment of brilliance from Bellingham.
The biggest debate on social media right now is, should 𝗘𝗫𝗓𝗓 start at the World Cup? Yes. Of course 𝗘𝗫𝗓𝗓 should be starting at the World Cup. It should not even be a question, but it is, so we're going to address it. This is from the New Zealand game. Now, if we look at the players that England have got here, we've got Rashford leading the line, we've got 𝗘𝗫𝗓𝗓𝗏 off the right, we've also got Anthony Gordon coming a little bit narrow off the left. Funnily enough, the most advanced player here is the number 10, 𝗘𝗫𝗓𝗓𝗏. And that's going to be really important for England in the World Cup. Now, you might ask, why is it important if our number 10 is in an advanced position? Well, with the England team and the tendency for Harry Kane to drop deep, the number 10 has to be almost a second number 9, whilst also still being that midfield player. Jude Bellingham can do that role to a ridiculous standard, and he's proven that not just for England, but at club level for Real Madrid. And I would argue that's probably part of the reason for why people don't rate Jude Bellingham as high as they should. Because he was such a good goal scorer a few seasons ago, everyone holds him to this high standard of he should be a prolific scorer. But Bellingham's more than that. Bellingham is everything. Bellingham can do the lot, and he should be valued like that in the England national team. So for me, he slots in as our number 10, and I think he can be the star, as always, in this World Cup. He's done it time and time again for England. But I don't want to put down Morgan Rogers' role in this England team. He can be a huge asset. He's a ridiculous ball carrier and a chance creation machine. He created the most chances in the Villa squad this season and completed the 4th most successful dribbles in the Villa squad as well. He can be such a big asset, especially off the bench, and I think he's someone who, if he was to play in the number 10, can do a lot of what Jude does in the positioning stuff, in the ball carrying stuff. That is Rogers' game, really. Thomas Tuchel said himself that Jude has competition for his spot, like anyone else. Which is right, he does. Jude Bellingham has competition. He's not going to just swan into his team, no matter if I think he should, if Gary Neville thinks he should, if you think he should. But something that gets him into this team is the big moments. No one else does it like Jude Bellingham. The overhead kick to keep England alive in the last tournament, the celebration that very swiftly followed that. Jude brings some power in those big moments that inevitably you need to go and win the whole thing. You need that player to step up, grab the game by a scruff of the neck, outside of the system, outside of the tactics. And that's what Jude Bellingham provides England. Away from that, both Bellingham and Rogers bring what you want from an England number 10. They can both link up with Kane and the wingers, whilst also matching the out-of-possession intensity of the deeper midfielders. Which takes us to the true core of this team. Video aside for a second though, here's a hypothetical question for you. Imagine you're on your holidays during the World Cup, or you're away for work and you can't get your World Cup fix. You've got your TV licence sorted to watch the BBC when you're at home, but not when you're abroad. So what do? Well, our office friends at Tom's Guide, well, they've got the answer for you. Because they've tested out a wide range of VPNs, and NordVPN stands out as the strongest option. Fast, reliable, and it comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee. That's enough to cover the entire World Cup tournament, so you can try it risk-free. The best bit, for all FourFourTwo viewers, there's an exclusive offer available. All you've got to do is go down to the link in the description, click it, and find out more. But for now, back to the video. The real cog in England's soon-to-be well-oiled machine comes in that midfield pivot. The base of England's midfield will more than likely be Declan Rice and Elliott Anderson, and that is so important. England are at their best when Declan Rice is given the freedom to make an impact and influence the game in all thirds of the pitch. 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏 recruited a deeper midfielder to allow Declan Rice to play further forward. As a result, last season he created the most chances in the Arsenal squad, yet he also had the most defensive contributions per 90. Rice does everything, and he has the ability to literally play pretty much anywhere on the pitch. But for me, we cannot limit him by having him sitting as the anchor. He has to be given the freedom to roam and influence the game in an attacking sense. Which, ladies and gentlemen, is where Elliott Anderson comes in. The debates around Elliott Anderson and Adam Wharton are completely understandable because we've got two young, progressive, up-and-coming midfielders playing in England at the top level. But the most important thing about a Rice partner is how they operate out of possession. Anderson won the ball in the mid-third of the pitch more than anyone else in the Premier League this season. With the England team in possession, you can expect Rice to step forward as almost a secondary number 10, which will leave Elliott Anderson as the player sitting to try shut down attacks and recycle play. For me, there's no one else in this England setup, in England, who can sit next to Rice and cover space as almost a lone anchor to the same level as Elliott Anderson. He's just a joke in that sense. If you look at this season's heat maps of Elliott Anderson and Declan Rice next to one another, you see Anderson covering that whole mid-third width to width, whilst Rice looks to be pushing on and making those runs deeper up the pitch. Now, in an England setting, this is definitely game dependent. You know, you're not going to have Elliott Anderson and Declan Rice playing 90 minutes in every single game because that's not how knockout tournaments go. Against lower sides, when England are pushing on to try and get a goal, whether it be Mexico in the knockouts or even Croatia in the first group stage game, England are destined to have to make a change to get a goal late in the game. They did it at the last knockout tournament with 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏 coming on in the final, for example. That's where you get the argument for Adam Wharton, and that's where it becomes its strongest, because he is a ridiculous puncher through the lines. He can play passes that not many other players can do in the final third. But with these changes, you still need that strong base, and therefore England's changes, Thomas Tuchel's changes, will have to be the right ones. In this sort of game state, England will have pushed everyone on, whether it's the fullbacks holding the width, the wingers coming inside, Harry Kane still in the box, or maybe 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗘𝗫, whilst you've got the midfielders ramming the box as well. Which is why I would replace Elliott Anderson with 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏. The reason for that is, well, Mainoo's attacking responsibility and almost an attacking profile in some ways isn't too far away from that of Declan Rice. 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏 carries well, he also combines nicely in those quick 1-2s, and just like Declan Rice, he has that something about him to get a decisive moment in the final third, to either create or score a goal himself. On the other hand, Rice dropping in to do the Anderson role also makes a lot of sense for me, because he can do a lot of what Anderson does out of possession. It may not be his best role over the course of the entire tournament, but in games when England are really pushing for a goal, having Mainoo and Rice, two pretty creative attacking type of number 8s in the team, is worth sacrificing. Maybe Rice not being in his 100% best position, maybe sacrificing a little bit of stability in transition, because they're the sacrifices that have got to be made to go and win a tournament. Now, when you talk about winning the tournament, you've got to look at the England squad, and a lot of the England squad has already brought a ton of controversy before a ball has even been kicked. But if we look at this squad as a whole, there's something really nice here. You have complementary partnerships all over that starting 11, and then you've got almost like for likes in many important positions if replacements are needed. Morgan Rogers and Jude Bellingham can do very similar jobs. Gordon and Rashford can also do very similar jobs. And then you've also got your change there. You've got 𝗕𝗫𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 to replace Bukayo Saka, who offers something entirely different. You've got 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 to replace Harry Kane, who is on the opposite end of a striker spectrum to Harry Kane. Don't get me wrong, I would love Adam Wharton to be there, and 𝗘𝗫𝗏𝗏𝗏 wouldn't be amiss either. But what's the point in complaining about the 26th man? This is the starting 11 that I suspect Tuchel will find being his go-to team, and for me, there's quality in abundance. The connectivity between the players in possession is encouraged by how complementary those players actually are to one another. Now, England's route to a potential final will be a very, very long one, especially when you consider the fact that the media don't leave these England players alone. They couldn't take a breath without a report coming out about them. So, for them to even have a chance, for them to even be appreciated in the way they should be, they're going to all have to be at their top form, at their very, very best to be in with a chance of winning this World Cup. So can they go and get the job done? Yeah, of course they can. We've got to believe. You can't sit here as an English fan and say, it's not coming home. Because it is, isn't it? I've been Jacob Horsfall. This has been 442. And we'll see you all next week for more brilliant content. Like and subscribe, guys.